Mark, we got a tornado warning if you're listening in back there. We got a tornado warning. We got to get on the air. Yeah.
Pilot and is brilliant, and he saw very clearly right away what this was.
Yeah.
And even on the phone, when I called him, he knew.
He knew.
And he said, I think she's been kidnapped for ransom. And I said,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Well, why? What? And then, I mean, it sounds so like how dumb could I be?
Max
but
1-4.
I didn't want to believe. I just said,
Yeah.
do you think because of me? And he said,
All right, good Thursday evening, everyone. It's 21 News Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm here, and we're getting on the air this evening here a little after 6:30 because we have our first tornado warning of the day so far. It is in effect for parts of Trumbull County until 7 o'clock this evening, so about 25 minutes from right now. This tornado warning expires at the top of the hour at 7 o'clock, and this is where the warning is for. It's not all of Trumbull County, but it is basically, I'll say, Howland, northward to Cortland, up to Mecca, and then heading across to the Pennsylvania state line. So you're included in the warning if you're in Hartford and Brookfield and Vienna. And heading over towards Howland as well. The city of Warren, just on the northeast side, you're in the tornado warning. And if you're down towards Interstate 80 and closer to the Mahoning County line, you're not under the warning. But where you see this flashing box, that is the tornado warning that's in effect until the top of the hour at 7 o'clock. We're starting to see some signs on the radar that this is taking a little bit of a hook appearance, or a hook shape, I should say, on the radar, and we'll zoom in closer here, and we may be seeing some rotation from between Cortland and Fowler over in this area right through here. Now, this storm is moving along fairly quickly, and we'll see if as it exits Trumbull County eventually later in the 6 o'clock hour and heads towards Mercer County, if a new warning is issued downstream over into Mercer County. But this tornado warning again runs until 7 o'clock. It includes Cortland, it includes Fowler and Hartford and Yankee Lake and Brookfield and Vienna and surrounding areas as well. If you're in this warning polygon, we need you to find your safe location. Get away from the windows if you can. Lowest level of your home. Put as many walls between you and the outside as you can. If you don't have a basement, then an interior room is oftentimes the best place to be, whether it be a closet, a hallway, a bathroom that doesn't have any windows, or maybe just a small window. We want you to be away from the glass, because flying glass is the number one concern when it comes to very strong thunderstorms or tornadoes. So again, a tornado warning in effect until 7 o'clock this evening, parts of Trumbull County. I'll zoom out real quickly and show you kind of the broad view for those just kind of getting in touch with the weather today. We're under a tornado watch for several hours this evening. The weather is quiet right now in Mahoning County, in Columbiana County, and in Lawrence County. We've had some showers and storms in Mercer County, and the current tornado warning is up for parts of Trumbull County, but we're just kind of getting started with a pretty active few hours. You can see there's a lot of showers and thunderstorms off to our north and to our west. A strong front is heading our way. And I think the severe weather threat here locally will be from about now through mid-evening, about 9 o'clock or so. And then we'll just have rain for a lot of the overnight, and maybe quite a bit of rain. We could have some localized flooding problems before the night is through. So let's go back over to Trumbull County. This is where our tornado warning is in effect, and I'll zoom in tightly on the cell that has prompted the tornado warning. The rotation evident on the radar is right around Route 193, right around the Fowler area, right in through here. This is near Warner Road, and all this is bearing down on the Hartford area along Route 305 here over the next handful of minutes. I'll even zoom in a little bit tighter here and show you, this is Route 305, Bell South Road, Nutwood area. You need to be in your safe location if you're anywhere near one of these locations. Don't head outside and try to take pictures or video or anything like that. We want you to seek shelter rather than looking for confirmation. We don't want you to necessarily head outside and try to document this. Just take our word for it that this storm may be trying to produce a tornado. We haven't seen any reports thus far of a tornado on the ground, but there is some rotation evident on the radar here in Trumbull County. Pretty good hook signature on the radar data. This is what we call the reflectivity data. In other words, the rain shown on the radar. We can actually look at what the winds are doing on the radar. We'll show you the velocity data here off the Cleveland radar. This looks like a bucket of spilled paint, right? It's hard to decipher anything out of this. We would look for some sort of red next to green signature if we were looking for rotation on this product off the Cleveland radar. We're actually getting a little bit closer to the Pittsburgh radar source, though, in this part of Trumbull County. So let's look at that data, and this shows it a little bit better. You can see a little bit more of a signature right here. Evident, at least in the mid-levels. The radar is sampling this storm fairly far up, several thousand feet. So at least at that level, the radar beam is sampling some rotation right around the Fowler area and north of Vienna, going up 193 away from Vienna and up towards Fowler. So heads up again, if you're watching us from Hartford and Orangeville and Latimer and places in between, we need you to seek shelter, find your safe location, the lowest level of your home, get away from the windows, and if you don't have a basement, then an interior room is the place to be. Take your smart device with you. If you have a smartphone, take it with you and follow the coverage online there. And we don't want you to be in your living room watching TV necessarily, if you have a lot of windows in your living room, especially, because again, flying glass would be a concern. So there's our rotation signature. I'll zoom in kind of tightly on this, and we just got a fresh scan of the radar. Looks like our rotation signature is right here. This is Route 7 right here. Over here is Route 193. So it's in between 193 and Route 7 and bearing down on the Hartford area as we speak. This is mostly just north and west of Yankee Lake, and just north and east of Tyrell, and now it's well north and east of Vienna. This tornado warning runs for another 19 minutes until the top of the hour here at 7 o'clock. We have a tornado warning in effect for Trumbull County, and we have no other warnings in effect for our viewing area. But as this storm crosses the Ohio-Pennsylvania state line and over into Mercer County, the National Weather Service office in Pittsburgh might have to hoist a tornado warning for parts of Mercer County. We'll see if that is indeed the case. The Cleveland National Weather Service office covers Trumbull County, while the Pittsburgh Weather Service office covers Mercer County. So this storm will get handed off from the Cleveland NWS to the Pittsburgh NWS. But you can see there's a pretty good signature on the radar here, kind of a, not exactly a classic, what we call a hook echo, but there's definitely a signature here that gets our attention both on the reflectivity and on the velocity data. And it's most easily seen now off the Pittsburgh radar. And I know this, this doesn't look like much to an untrained eye, but there's a little bit of a couplet right here coming towards Route 7. Or at least at the mid-levels of the storm, we're seeing some rotation. And given the way the reflectivity values are on the traditional radar, there might be rotation in the lower levels as well. So we definitely need you to take this seriously. It's the only warning we have out for our viewing area right now, even though the whole viewing area does have a tornado watch that's in effect for a handful of hours through 11 o'clock this evening, although we suspect here at 21 News that the severe weather threat will be mostly over with well before 11 o'clock, more like 9 o'clock or so this evening. Pretty potent setup today. It was warm. It was somewhat humid this afternoon. It was more like a May day, and we have a strong cold front heading our way. It's going to be more like February tomorrow. That clash of the air masses means a pretty good chance for some nasty weather as we get into the spring season, and today is no exception. And the Weather Service office in Pittsburgh did indeed extend this tornado warning over into parts of Mercer and Lawrence County. So now we have parts of Trumbull County, and we have parts of Mercer County and parts of Lawrence County under a tornado warning. The western Pennsylvania portion of this runs until 7:15 this evening, so a half an hour or so from right now. You're under a tornado warning if you're watching this from the Sharon area, West Middlesex, Lackawanna, heading down towards New Wilmington as well. You're not in the warning in the rest of Mercer County. So if you're watching from closer to Greenville and over towards New Lebanon and the Sandy Lake area, you're not under a tornado warning in those locations. But you are under a tornado warning in kind of the southwestern corner of Mercer, kind of the northern and northeastern corner of Lawrence, and now mostly in the southeastern corner of Trumbull County. This storm is bearing down on the state line. It's right around the Hartford area right now. Let's zoom in real tight on this. I think our rotation is probably right in through here, right around Route 7, around the Hartford area, and just off to the south, kind of between Yankee Lake and Hartford is where we're most likely seeing some rotation in this storm, both at the low levels and the upper levels as well. This storm is also likely producing some hail. I'll talk about that real briefly. That's kind of a secondary threat. So, of course, the primary concern would be any rotation, and our radar is showing a little bit of a hail spike in through here. But to be honest with you, the hail is not the biggest concern with this. This is probably not producing much in the way of real large hail right now. There may be some hail, but it's probably not large and damaging. So again, tornado warning until the top of the hour at 7 o'clock. Southeastern Trumbull County, Hartford and Brookfield included. This is just north of Hubbard, this tornado warning. So the Hubbard, immediate Hubbard area, you're not technically in the tornado warning. It's just off to your north. But if you're watching this, especially just north of Hubbard, just pay attention to what I'm saying over the next 5 or 10 minutes. We'll be tracking this into the Sharon area and heading over into West Middlesex as well. This is where the rotation is, where this notch kind of is right here. It's getting set to cross the state line. Let's take a look at the velocity data, the wind data, if you will, off the Pittsburgh National Weather Service Doppler radar. And here's our rotation signature right here. It's we call this a couplet. It's where greens are lining up pretty close to reds. Winds are blowing towards the radar, where you see green colors, and away from the radar, where we have red colors. And where those two things meet up, that oftentimes means rotation. And again, that signature is almost right over the state line, right around the Sharon, or just north of downtown Sharon right now. Find your safe location if you're under this tornado warning. You're not going to be under it for very long. It expires at the top of the hour in southeastern Trumbull. It runs until 7:15 in southwestern Mercer and northern and northeastern Lawrence County. So again, we're getting on the air this evening here just after the 6 o'clock news. It is 6:46 p.m. I'm 21 News Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm, and we are under a tornado watch for a handful of hours this evening, and we have this tornado warning now out for southeastern Trumbull and parts of Mercer and Lawrence. This storm really started to perk up once it crossed the eastern part of Trumbull County and headed into the southeastern corner of the county, and it's getting set to cross over into Mercer County as we speak. So find your safe location, take your smartphone if you have one with you, and continue watching the coverage and following our coverage on social media as well as live streams. I had to hustle to get on the air this evening, so I'm not sure if our live streams managed to get up and running before I got on TV. I had to kind of really hustle to get on TV. As you probably know, we're obligated to get on the TV side when we have a tornado warning out. That is what takes precedence. So that sometimes means that the live streaming coverage doesn't get up on its feet in time, because we definitely have to get on TV to keep people safe. Here's our storm right now. Fresh scan of the radar, and it looks like the rotation is pushed into Mercer County. It's this notch right here that the storm is trying to rotate. So this is around the Sharpsville area. And again, just crossing the state line, kind of the Sharon area up to Sharpsville as well. This kind of notch in the reflectivity data is where the most likely part of this storm that we have rotation. We could be seeing some small hailstones, especially kind of in the northern areas and eastern areas of this storm. But I think hail would be a secondary concern at this point. It would be more of a concern for the rotation and possible tornadic activity. I think the Weather Service in Cleveland will discontinue the Trumbull part of this tornado warning before the top of the hour. And in a couple of seconds here, maybe a minute or two, I'll give you the all clear here on this live coverage if you're watching me from southeastern Trumbull County, whether that be Yankee Lake or Brookfield or Hartford or anywhere in between. Hang with us for another minute or two, and then I'll give you the all clear. But we're going to be a little bit of time here. It's until 7:15 that we have this warning out, this tornado warning for this part of Mercer County. This includes Sharon, Lackawanna, West Middlesex, heading over towards Mercer Borough, down to Valant and New Wilmington and Pulaski, heading down 376 away from the Sharon area, heading towards the Pittsburgh area. Now, if you're watching this from Stoneboro and from Fredonia on north, you're not in the warning in those parts of Mercer County, but you are for southwestern and southern Mercer County and heading down into parts of Lawrence as well. And this actually extends all the way over towards Grove City and heading down towards Plain Grove and almost Slippery Rock as well. This tornado warning runs for another 25 minutes until 7:15. Again, elsewhere, if you're just joining us, elsewhere the weather is quiet for the time being in Mahoning and Columbiana counties. It may not stay that way for very long. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for this cell out here towards Kent, Akron, and into the Ravenna area as well. And this may eventually show some signs of rotation as well. We'll be keeping an eye on that as it encounters our viewing area here before too much longer. We have a severe thunderstorm warning out, independent of our tornado warning. This severe thunderstorm warning runs until the top of the hour as well, for Cortland and Mecca and Johnston, and heading up towards Gustavus as well and back towards Bristol. Nothing all that severe looking with this warning right now. This warning was initially issued for the storm that eventually started to rotate. Now that rotation is over into western parts of PA. Coming up here at 6:50, another 25 minutes to go. I think we have a rotating thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado that's right around the Sharpsville area right now. And so if you're watching us from Hermitage, Sharon, up to Sharpsville, anywhere in between, even as far south as about Interstate 80, from West Middlesex over to Lackawanna, we need you to find your safe location. Go to your lowest level of your home. If you have a basement, that's the best place to be. If you don't have a basement, lowest level of your home and away from the windows. A lot of times that means an interior room of some kind, whether it be a closet, a hallway, a bathroom, something like that. If you live in an apartment building, hopefully before each storm season, make sure you're pretty good friends with someone who lives on the lowest floor of that apartment building, and maybe you could seek shelter in someone who lives on the bottom floor of an apartment building in their apartment if you live on an upper floor. That would be my best advice if you live on an upper floor of an apartment building. If you are at work early this evening here as we approach 7 o'clock in these areas that are under a tornado warning, hopefully your workplace has a plan in place in case a tornado warning is ever issued. Same thing as if you were home, get away from the windows. Don't head outside with your phone and try to take pictures and video of this. We don't want you to necessarily run outside and look for confirmation. We want you to take shelter, and so find your safe location, whether you're home or you're at work this evening. So again, it is 6:51. We have another 25 minutes to go on our tornado warning until 7:15 for parts of southwestern Mercer County, northern Lawrence, northeastern Lawrence. We're going to give you the all clear at this point in southeastern Trumbull, Hartford, Brookfield, places in between, Yankee Lake. We are clear from this particular warning, even though the tornado warning is technically out until the top of the hour. At least graphically displayed here for southeastern Trumbull, we can give you the all clear if you're watching us from kind of the Route 7 corridor in southeastern Trumbull. Tornado warning, though, for southwestern, I should say, Mercer County until 7:15. Let's take a look at our velocity data, and our couplet is not quite as vivid as it was a few scans ago. In other words, we don't have as a good looking of a couplet, greens next to reds, as we did a few scans ago when this was closer to the state line. But still, enough of a couplet out there that Sharpsville, Sharon, Hermitage, we need you to find your safe location and stay there for another 10 or 15, maybe 25 minutes at the most, because there is still enough of a radar signature that we certainly can't give you the all clear. This thing continues to try to rotate, even though the radar signature is probably not as vivid, if you will, as it was 10 or 15 minutes ago. If you're looking for the live stream online, I'm not sure if we got that successfully up and running. Our live streaming coverage on WFMJ.com, the 21 News app, and on social media. I had to hop on the air real quick and cover this tornado warning just as we were getting our live stream up and running. So upon the expiration of these tornado warnings, if we don't have any tornado warnings in effect at that point, I'll go back and make sure our live streaming coverage is up and running, and so people can see that. I suspect we'll be doing some live streaming coverage for the next couple of hours, because that's when our threat is going to be. Upstream, we have a severe thunderstorm warning out towards Akron and Talmadge and over towards Stowe, just north of Barberton. This storm could eventually impact parts of our viewing area. Don't have a lot of warnings north and west. It's kind of a messy radar, but nothing that is prompting a warning in northwest Ohio right now. Just kind of a messy looking radar with some strong storms, but likely nothing severe. Let's go back to our viewing area, though, because we do have a tornado warning out until 7:15. This is it right here. It includes parts of Mercer County and Lawrence County. Now, this storm is going to be another 10 minutes or so before it heads down south of Mercer and closer to Lawrence County and closer to New Wilmington, down towards Hickory, and eventually over towards the Slippery Rock and over towards the Grove City areas. This storm is probably 10 or 15 minutes away from some of those locations, but it's right on top of you, or almost right on top of you, from Lackawanna up towards Big Bend, up towards South Pymatooning. We're getting rain in Sharon, but it looks like the rotation is just east of Sharon at this point. We can give you the all clear from this particular warning now in southeastern parts of Trumbull County. just checking my off-screen chats with the National Weather Service offices in Cleveland and Pittsburgh as they talk about what's going on with this warning and other warnings right now. Not seeing anything particularly noteworthy being passed along in terms of any sightings of any tornadoes on the ground or anything like that. So that is some good news. This storm, when it prompted the tornado warning when it was back over Trumbull County, the radar beam was sampling the storm at least a few thousand feet up in the air. So there was at least some mid-level rotation. The rotation started to show some signs of lowering down to the ground. You know, one thing we had today, it was a very warm day for March anyway. It was humid-ish, but not particularly humid, not like May or June. And so the air in the lowest levels of the atmosphere is not particularly saturated. And that makes it a little bit harder for tornadic activity to happen down here at ground level. You can get some rotation up in the mid levels of the atmosphere, but for the rotation to come down all the way to the ground, it's harder to do when you have a layer of drier air. And because those dew point temperatures are not in the upper 60s and 70s like they are sometimes in the summer, they're more like in the 50s. That does take away from the tornadic potential a little bit. But nonetheless, at least in the mid-levels, this storm has been trying to rotate, and it prompted that tornado warning when it was over Trumbull County. Now that tornado warning in effect until 7:15 for parts of southern and southwestern Mercer and northern and northeastern Lawrence counties. We're coming up at the top of the hour here at 7 o'clock. We're going to stay on the air as long as we have an active tornado warning. If you are expecting to see 101 West coming up on 21 WFMJ at the top of the hour, if we have to preempt that because of weather coverage, 101 West will air this coming Monday. It's a big story. Our newsroom has been working very hard on that over the last couple of months. And so we want to make sure that is seen by our audience. And if we have to preempt that because of weather coverage, it is preempted. Okay, thanks for telling me that, Jimmy, back in the back. He told me that was preempted. So you can catch 101 West coming up on Monday. So those looking for that coming up here at the top of the hour, just hang in there a few days. We'll air that coming up early on next week. We're going to hang with you here on the air for as long as we have an active tornado warning. And right now, the threat is definitely highest around and south now of Interstate 80. Here's our storm that is still, trying to show some rotation, even though the rotation signatures are not quite as prominent as they were 10 or 15 minutes ago, from Hermitage to New Virginia, right along I-80. We just got a fresh scan of the radar here, and here's that notch that we've been following where there may be some rotation. This is coming into the Lackawanna area. If you're watching us from the Lackawanna area and around Interstate 80 in Mercer County, we need you to find your safe location. This warning runs for another 18 or 19 minutes until 7:15. We're all clear from this particular storm now in southeastern Mercer, where the first tornado warning was issued. And elsewhere in our viewing area, we'll keep an eye on this warned storm out towards Kent. Right now, this severe thunderstorm warning out towards Kent runs until 7:30, and we'll see if that eventually ends up impacting parts of our viewing area. We're still wondering where the storms are if you're watching us from Mahoning County and especially down into Columbiana County, where it's just warm and it's dry. But don't let down your guard. Severe weather is going to threaten those areas, certainly, before the evening is through. And all of us have a good chance of at least seeing some heavy rain tonight. Severe weather or not in your location, everyone has a good chance of seeing some soaking rains later on tonight. And before daybreak on our Friday morning, an inch or two worth of rain could cause some localized problems with some flash flooding. Let's look at the latest velocity data here off the Pittsburgh radar. We'll show you where we may or may not be seeing some rotation. And looking at the latest scan here, here's where our couplet is. It's not as good looking a couplet as it was earlier on, but still we're seeing some winds blowing towards the radar, fairly close to some winds blowing away from the radar around Route 318, around Interstate 80, and especially just north of I-80 and close to Route 62 at this point. This storm, like a lot of storms, is moving fairly quickly. There's a lot of wind energy aloft in the atmosphere today. That's one of the reasons why the severe weather threat is particularly elevated. And because we have pretty high wind speeds aloft, everything is moving along fairly quickly. The forward speed on this storm, let me get you a quote on the forward speed of this. This is moving at about 45 miles per hour off to the south and east. So not the fastest storm, but certainly not the slowest storm in the world. It's moving along at a pretty good clip. So in any one location, the severe weather threat from this particular storm is going to last a handful of minutes, and then it's going to move along. We'll give you the all clear at this point if you're watching us from Pulaski, from West Middlesex, from Sharon, up towards South Pymatuning. But we need you to be in your safe location if you're watching us from Mercer, from Lackawanna, all the way down towards New Wilmington. If you're watching us closer to Grove City, in a couple of minutes, it'll be a good idea to find your safe location, the lowest floor of your home. And if you don't have a basement, that means the lowest floor and away from the windows. Don't be next to the the outer walls of your house, if you will. Put as many walls between you and the outside as you can. And oftentimes that means a closet, a hallway of some kind, a bathroom, something like that. All right, so the Weather Service did they just cancel the tornado warning? Yeah, it looks like they did. Yeah, the Weather Service office in Pittsburgh just canceled the warning. I've been talking about how the signatures, the radar velocity data, if you will, has not been impressive of late, and the Pittsburgh office kind of saw the same thing. And so even though this is still a little bit questionable as far as the rotation at this point, it is questionable enough that they discontinued the tornado warning that was in effect for Mercer and Lawrence until 7:15. So just want to confirm that we are no longer in a warning. That appears to be the case. So all that being said, we are going to hang with you on the TV side here for at least another couple of minutes and see if this tries to tighten up this rotation once again before it heads into deeper parts of Mercer County, pardon me. The entire area, by the way, is under a tornado watch. Let's show you that graphically here while we have a moment to catch our breath a little bit. Every county in red here is under a tornado watch. That includes all of our television viewing area. It includes all counties in eastern parts of Ohio, pardon me, western parts of Pennsylvania as well. And this tornado watch runs until 11 p.m. I do think that our severe weather threat here locally in our television market will likely be over by about 9 to 9:30 at the latest. But the entire box, the watch box, if you will, the tornado watch box, is in effect until 11. The threat may very well run until 11 down towards I-70, closer to Pittsburgh, closer to Cambridge, closer to Zanesville. But in northern parts of Ohio, I suspect that the threat will be over well before 11 o'clock. For those looking for our streaming coverage, we're going to wrap up our TV coverage for the time being here in a moment or two, and then I'll get back to our live streams and make sure they're up and running. We were just getting those streams up and running when the tornado warning was issued, so we had to hop on the TV side real quick and make sure we were live on the air. But the tornado warning that was in effect until 7:15 for parts of Mercer and Lawrence counties has been discontinued a little bit early. That storm is now just around and north of Interstate 80. Pardon my voice. It's been that kind of a week here at 21 News. Everybody kind of has this. Around and north of Interstate 80 is where our storm is right now. It is showing not as vivid of a rotation signature as earlier, and hence they discontinued the tornado warning about 15 minutes early. So that being said, here at 7:03, we're going to wrap up our TV coverage and get you back to regular programming. Again, if you're looking for 21 West on 21 WFMJ, which was originally slated to air here at 7 o'clock on this Thursday evening, it's now going to air on Monday. We're going to stretch for a little bit. Okay, we'll stretch for a little bit. Getting instructions in my ear to stretch for a little bit here as... So it looks like we are going to air 101 West. Okay. So we've changed our mind, apparently. We are going to air 101 West on 21 WFMJ as soon as I wrap up our coverage here online. Just a reminder, we're on the air this evening because a tornado warning was issued for parts of Trumbull and Mercer, but thankfully those tornado warnings have expired or been discontinued for the time being. So at this point, we are going to wrap things up here on 21 WFMJ and then continue our coverage, our weather coverage online. If we get any more tornado warnings, we'll hop back on the air on the TV side for the rest of this evening. Hope you and yours stay safe. And again, be sure and watch our streaming coverage, WFMJ.com and the 21 News app. In the meantime, I'll sign off for now. We're clear on TV right now. I'm going to continue the live stream, though. Okay, thank you, sir. For those on the live stream, hang with me for just a second while I kind of regroup and get my bearings here. Just finished up our live TV coverage. Again, for those looking for the live streaming coverage, bear with me for just a second here while we get our ducks in a row, if you will. All right, we are going to resume our live coverage here. Streaming online. Give us just one more second here while I see if our streaming coverage is up and running everywhere where it needs to be. All right, for those just joining us here, we just got off of TV to cover severe weather on TV, and now we're going to get into our live streaming coverage in earnest here. Do you give me just one more second? A lot of things to jump through, a lot of hoops to jump through to get this thing up and running, you know? All right, it is 7:07, and we were on TV because we had a tornado warning out for Trumbull and Mercer. And now, looks like we are live everywhere where we need to be on streaming, whether it be YouTube or Facebook, and it looks like we have successfully gone live now on WFMJ.com and the 21 News app. I think we are anyway. I think we are. All right, so it looks like we are. By the way, if you're a user of our apps here at 21 News and our website as well, it's been a rough few months for our website and app as we had some infrastructure problems, but we just relaunched both the website and the 21 News app this week. So make sure you download that update on your app store, and if you're using an old-fashioned web browser, and that's how you get your latest news and weather and sports. Check out the new WFMJ.com. It works a lot better. It's a lot nicer. And so that is for sure up and running. All right, so let's get started this evening. The tornado warning that was out earlier has been allowed to, or it was discontinued a little bit early. It was in effect originally until 7:15 for Mercer in parts of northern Lawrence. Right now, our most immediate concern is just to the west of our viewing area. This severe thunderstorm warning does have a tornado possible tag on it. It's out into parts of Portage County. Much like the storm that prompted the warning earlier in Trumbull, the velocity data on this is suggesting every now and then we get a scan where it looks like this is trying to rotate a little bit, maybe just east of Rootstown along Interstate 76 right now. So we're going to have to babysit this one quite a bit in the next several minutes. Let's put a little bit of a loop on this, and there we go. It's heading across I-76 right now. That severe thunderstorm warning runs until 7:45. Separate severe thunderstorm warning polygon for the Kent area. But the storm that prompted that original warning has now moved to the east of Kent. And for our TV viewing area, this is going to be the one we definitely have to watch, this one coming across I-76 in Portage County. In the rest of our viewing area, things are quiet right now in Columbiana County. It may not stay that way for long, though. Even though the weather may be quiet in your location right now, everyone has the same threat over the next couple of hours at least for some heavy gusty storms capable of producing severe weather. In Mahoning County, threatening skies here as we head closer to sunset this evening. And out of these clouds, eventually some rain is coming towards Girard and into the Warren area right now, into Lordstown. We've been dealing with storms on a few occasions now over the last hour or so in our northern areas, including Trumbull and Mercer County. Thankfully, the tornado warning that was out earlier has been discontinued. For those just joining us on the live streaming coverage, kind of resetting here and taking a look at the broad view, we do have a tornado watch in all the counties in red. This includes all of eastern Ohio and western Pennsylvania. This tornado watch runs until 11 o'clock this evening. Now, in our TV market in the Youngstown area and adjacent counties, the severe weather threat is probably over the next couple of hours. And then they'll start by, one county at a time or a handful of counties at a time, piecemealing, if you will. They'll start discontinuing this tornado watch in the northern part of Ohio. The risk may run until 11 o'clock, closer to I-70 off to our south, closer to Cambridge and Zanesville and Wheeling and over towards Pittsburgh as well. So again, that's a tornado watch that runs through the rest of the evening. Our most immediate concern is the storm that's over in Portage County right now. It has a severe thunderstorm warning on it, and it runs until 7:45 this evening. Let's zoom back in on that warning. Here it is right here. Now, the latest scan of the radar is not quite as problematic looking in terms of the rotation on the reflectivity data here. Let's look at the velocity data off the Cleveland National Weather Service radar, and boy, this doesn't look like much. We're getting a little farther from the Cleveland radar here, but at least at the mid-levels, there may be still some signs here and there of some rotation, but it's hard to discern on the Cleveland wind velocity data. When I say Cleveland, off the Cleveland National Weather Service Doppler radar, which is located just southwest of downtown Cleveland. Hopping up into Trumbull County, and we have some rain and some rumbles around Warren right now, but nothing severe. That includes the Champion and Leavittsburg areas. The storm that prompted the tornado warning earlier is now across the I-79 corridor in eastern parts of Mercer County. And it's starting to impact Grove City and getting set to head over into Venango County here as we head past 7:15 this evening. It's crossing Route 19 and Interstate 79 as we speak. This storm over in Portage County does have one of these tags on it. A lot of times if you watch our streaming coverage or our severe weather coverage, we talk about how the Weather Service will put tags on kind of base severe thunderstorm or tornado warnings or flash flood warnings even. They'll put tags on some of these warnings to augment them, to raise your awareness of a particular threat that a storm might have the potential to produce. This storm occasionally has shown some signs of rotation, so while they didn't issue a tornado warning, they did put a tornado possible tag on the warning over in Portage County. This runs up to the Mahoning County line, no further east. We'll see if a new warning has to be issued, but this storm is starting to look a little less impressive than it did maybe 10 minutes or so ago. Let's put a 15-minute loop on this and actually slow down the loop. When the storm was closer to Rootstown, it definitely had a little bit more going for it in terms of at least mid-level rotation. Weather Service office in in Cleveland is noting that some very large hail is falling out of the storms that are in northwest Ohio this evening. Let's real briefly take a look at those. These are coming into the Toledo area, so there's a lot of hail in a lot of these storms out here. A lot of lightning as well. Coming across I-80 in northwest Ohio, a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings are out for those storms. Get our hail tracker real quickly, then we'll get back to our viewing area. And you can see our hail tracker is picking up on some of these hail signatures out here in far northwest Ohio. I would say hail is kind of a secondary concern for most of northeast Ohio and northwestern Pennsylvania this evening. The number one concern would be a damaging wind gust. The hail and the tornado threat, certainly not zero. They're a little bit more of a secondary concern. The odds are lower, in other words, of those outcomes rather than a damaging wind gust from a thunderstorm. But the risk is certainly not zero of something like a rotating storm happening this evening. Weather Service office in Pittsburgh passing along a storm report here. This was a little earlier at 7:12, so a few minutes ago. Perhaps a rotating wall cloud, Wilmington Township in Mercer County. We'll see if I can actually show this graphically, this storm report. Now, this has not been quality controlled by the National Weather Service office in Pittsburgh, and it's not graphically displayed here, but they are passing along that a person did note a rising motion under a messy wall cloud just to their northeast, and that was reported by a storm spotter, presumably, in Wilmington Township in Mercer County. And that was a handful of minutes ago at 7:12. That's this storm right here. It's the one that prompted the tornado warning earlier. It's crossing I-79 heading into far eastern Mercer as we speak. And so it'll be out of our television viewing area here before the bottom of the hour at 7:30. I think of a more immediate concern for our viewing area is going to be this storm. That's over Palmyra right now, bearing down on Craig Beach and the Lake Milton area. This is now well east of Rootstown. This severe thunderstorm warning runs until 7:45 for eastern Portage County. It does not extend, that warning does not extend into our television viewing area, in other words, into Mahoning County just yet. Now, they did put a tornado possible tag on this storm. Over the last several scans, I think that rotation is not as prominent. And so if the Weather Service office in Cleveland decides to issue a new warning in Mahoning County for this storm, I guess to my eye, a tornado possible tag would probably not be included in any sort of new warning downstream into Mahoning County, but we'll see. The tag remains there for the Portage County portion of this storm. For those just joining us here on the live streaming coverage, it took us a little while to get the stream up and running because we had to hop on TV real quickly while we were getting our stream up and running. This evening, a tornado warning was originally issued for parts of eastern Trumbull County and Mercer County. Thankfully, that warning expired in Trumbull County and was discontinued over into Mercer County, but it prompted us to real quickly get on TV before we properly had our live streams kind of up and running. But now our live streaming coverage appears to be up and running in just about all the places it needs to be. That includes WFMJ.com. That includes the 21 News app, and that includes on my YouTube and Facebook pages as well. No matter where you're following me on social media, whether it be on Facebook, on X, on YouTube, on Blue Sky, on Threads, on TikTok, wherever you find my content, I really appreciate you trusting me and the rest of our team to keep you safe whenever the weather gets particularly serious. Here in 2026, television meteorologists can't just be on TV. We got to be where the eyeballs are, and that includes, of course, all the online venues. Most of us walk around with a computer in our pockets these days. It's a smartphone, of course, whether it be an Apple device or an Android device. Not everybody, but most of us do these days. And so make sure that you have all the tools at your disposal on those devices that a lot of us have in our pockets. Make sure you have multiple and redundant ways of getting warnings, including text alerts, push alerts from the Storm Tracker 21 app, of course, live streaming coverage like the coverage you're watching right now, NOAA weather radio. I always, say that's a good idea to have in your place of business or your home, even though a lot of people around here don't have those NOAA weather radios because, this isn't a severe weather hotbed necessarily in our part of the country, like it is in, say, Birmingham, Alabama, or Little Rock, Arkansas, or Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and a lot of those places. It's real common for people to have weather radios in their home, but they're available around here. You can find them in some big box stores and certainly online, places like Amazon. They're 20 or 30 bucks. They're easy to program, and they're going to get your attention. Those things are going to wake you up at night if there's a tornado warning for your location, and it's a very good investment. So I always encourage everyone to have a NOAA weather radio. Let me take off the warning information here and just show you the plain old radar to show you just how much activity we have to get through this evening. I'll zoom all the way out and put a loop on this. It's going to be a busy couple of hours. We've got a strong front heading our way. It's encountering a May-like air mass. Got into the 70s today. It's not quite as humid as it likely would be at a lot of times in late May and early June. But it is humid enough. The dew points are just high enough to help provide some thunderstorm fuel for some of these storms. Now we're getting set to lose the daylight. As we head past sunset this evening, one of the key ingredients sometimes for severe weather is the fact that it's daylight hours, and severe weather tends to diminish some, at least a little bit, once it gets dark. Not in all cases, and not all cases are exactly alike, but certainly conditions are a little more favorable sometimes when you have the heating of the day, the warmest part of the day. The other thing that we have to keep in mind this evening is that the atmosphere is getting worked over a little bit by some of these ongoing storms. And what I mean by worked over is we have some rain-cooled air overhead now. Instead of 75 degrees like it was earlier, let me check the latest observation at the Youngstown Warren Airport. It is not 75, but it's 59 now. Now the dew point is up to 57. The dew points earlier today were in the lower 50s. So it's a little more humid, but it's not as warm where it's rained out there today. And so one of the key ingredients for new thunderstorms to really get going in earnest is warm air, and if the air is not quite as warm as it was earlier where it has rained, that might diminish the severe weather chances a little bit as well. One thing I talked about earlier, I think I was still on TV when I talked about this, is one of the things we do have going against a lot of tornadic activity across the region today, even though we have a lot of wind energy aloft. There was a lot of sunshine today. It got warm today. It got into the 70s today. And the atmosphere became pretty well mixed. We saw this when we had a severe weather threat, what was that, 4 days ago on Sunday. The atmosphere was warm. It was well mixed. There was a lot of drier air in the low levels of the atmosphere. So some of the dry air from aloft was mixed down to the surface. And thunderstorms had a hard time getting up on their feet, especially storms that might produce a tornado, had a hard time getting up on their feet enough to, be much of a problem when you have a lot of dry air at the lower levels of the atmosphere. It can still happen. Those things can still happen, but the odds may be reduced somewhat when you have drier air down here near the ground. So I speculated on that some earlier, and that's one of the things that trained meteorologists we took into account today. It's not a given, of course, that we're going to have a bunch of severe weather, but the risk is definitely higher than it is in a lot of cases, and there's so much wind energy aloft, and this is such a strongly forced situation. In other words, a strong cold front is coming into a pretty warm air mass, that these risk categories were definitely warranted today, despite some of the limiting factors that may be in place. The official outlooks, you see me and other meteorologists show these all the time. These are issued by the Storm Prediction Center, government entity. We abbreviated this SPC a lot. They're the ones that issue not only these outlooks, but they're the ones that issue the watches as well. Tornado watches, severe thunderstorm watches. The local National Weather Service offices issue the local warnings, the severe thunderstorm warnings, the tornado warnings, the flash flood warnings, things like that. But the SPC issues the watches. They also issue these outlooks. And the level 3 risk in this kind of, I don't know what this color is, kind of maroon, I guess. We don't see that in eastern Ohio very often. It's maybe a couple times a year on average. It's a risk category that is much less common than level 1 or level 2. We use a 1 to 5 scale to display the risk for severe weather. 1 and 2s are very common. 3 much less common. It's very rare to get a level 4 and especially level 5 risk of severe weather in our part of the country. So this level 3 risk I think was warranted today. I didn't have a qualm with it. But even a level 3 risk is no guarantee of severe weather. Let's get back to the radar. We're certainly not going to close the book on severe weather. I think it's going to be a busy next couple of hours. We got to watch everything very carefully. I'm going to stop the loop on the radar here. Heavy thunderstorm is pushed into Mahoning County. We'll zoom in on that. Rain and rumbles from Craig Beach and Lake Milton down through Berlin Center, Ellsworth, coming into the Canfield area as well. The severe thunderstorm warning out in Portage County, technically still out, but looks like Portage County is pretty much out of the woods in terms of any severe weather from this particular storm. The Weather Service office has not issued a new severe thunderstorm warning for Mahoning County. But we've got a heavy storm with some heavy rain and some rumbles of thunder in the western part of Mahoning County. This is Route 45 right here. Here's 534 right here. This is I-76 right up here. Elsewhere in our viewing area, all is quiet still in Columbiana County. Some of the last places to see any thunderstorms tonight would be Columbiana County in our southern areas. You're going to get some rain, at least, and even a severe weather threat. So even though things are quiet thus far in a place like Lisbon and Hanoverton and down towards East Liverpool, even as far north as Salem and Columbiana and Leetonia, places like that, don't let your guard down. Stay weather aware for the next handful of hours because your turn could very well be coming. Now, we have no active warnings in our TV viewing area. This severe thunderstorm warning out in Portage County looks like it is going to be discontinued before its original expiration time of 7:45. Let's hop up into our northern areas. We have some of this rain-cooled air, so nothing severe going on right now, but some claps of thunder and some rain around Vienna, around the Youngstown-Warren Regional Airport, and heading over towards Howland, and up towards Cortland and Mosquito Lake, and over towards the fairgrounds across the lake, and over towards the state line as well, from South Pymatuning to Sharon to West Middlesex. We have some rain and some rumbles, but nothing severe over there. And the storm earlier that produced the tornado warning that we got on TV for, that storm is now around Grove City and getting set to head over into Venango County pretty much completely. So the anvil, or the leading edge of the storm, is now over towards Route 8, over closer to Barkeysville and Wesley and places like that along Interstate 80. There's the latest scan. So from Grove City on east is where that storm is right now. But thankfully, there are no warnings for that storm at the current time. Not a lot going on upstream in terms of warnings from Cleveland down I-71. Most of the warnings are then in northwest Ohio. So things get a lot more severe out here, closer to Toledo. A lot of lightning and thunder and some big hailstones likely falling out of those storms in northwest Ohio. Looks like earlier on we did have some roof damage in Fowler in Trumbull County. Portions of a roof landed in a cornfield. Two-story residential structure that is well built suffered some damage. So that was 3 miles northeast of Vienna earlier on. So we're just getting a storm report. This is from the storm earlier, back in the late in the 6 o'clock hour, early in the 7 o'clock hour. Looks like the time on that was, it doesn't say when the damage occurred, just when the storm report was passed along, which was just a couple of minutes ago. Let's see if I can query this and show that to you. Yeah, there we go. Roof damage, Fowler. Portions of a roof landed on a cornfield, two-story residential structure, and well built. That was from the storm that prompted the tornado warning earlier on for this part of Trumbull County and parts of Mercer and Lawrence as well. So again, that's not what's going on currently. That was from about a half an hour ago or 45 minutes ago in parts of Trumbull County. Thanks to everyone who is commenting on social media. Don't have time to see every comment that's streaming across right now, but I'll take a look at all of them at some point this evening. But I look at all the comments and I make sure that there's not a lot of knucklehead stuff going on in my comment sections. Sometimes that happens, of course, especially on Facebook. You get some knucklehead stuff going on, and I try to keep that stuff out of my comment sections. My comment sections they should be a good place to be. There's lots of places to be nasty on the internet. Comment sections on your local meteorologist Facebook page, not one of those places, that is for sure. So we'll see what happens with our Mahoning County storm. We may actually take a pause here on the live streaming coverage for a little while. If nothing imminent looks like it's going to impact our viewing area in terms of severe weather, might have to wait for some of that activity that's out over northwest Ohio to track in, because none of this messy stuff off to our north and west, closer to I-71, none of this looks real threatening right now. Maybe a heavier cell around Mansfield, but that's well off to our west. So I'll hang with you on the stream here for another couple of minutes. And then we may take a little pause, may save my voice a little bit. The muck is going around the building here at 21 News, and while I'm getting over it, every now and then my voice still wants to be a little bit, wants to catch on me a little bit. Derek Steyer and I have been quite a pair on the evening newscast this week, as we've both been kind of struggling to make sure we don't cough too much on the air. Talking live on TV when you have a little tickle in your throat sometimes is no fun at all. Rain and rumbles in Mahoning County. We're seeing some heavy rain and some rumbles of thunder. Stony Ridge, North Jackson, Rosemont, down to Canfield. Nothing severe here, but some rain and some rumbles. There's probably a gusty breeze as well. Not seeing a lot of evidence of any sort of notable hail with our Mahoning County storm, and our hail tracker bears that out, not really hinting at much. And I'm sure the Weather Service office is going to discontinue the Portage County severe thunderstorm warning a little bit early. That was set to expire here in about 15 minutes at 7:45, but they haven't done so just yet. Let's take a quick look outside before it gets dark. This is Youngstown, of course. Banner says Niles, but ignore that. It's Youngstown. It's starting to rain. I can hear it up on the roof here at WFMJ. And definitely getting a little bit darker as the storm pushes deeper into Mahoning County. Our other active camera right now is going to be up in Boardman along 224. So we're looking west towards Canfield along 224 and Market Street. That's this intersection right here. So here's Walgreens over here, McDonald's. Over here is BJ's Brewhouse and the Southern Park Mall. You can see some flashes of lightning. And a storm rolling across 224, approaching Boardman from the west. So that storm that's over Canfield with rain and rumbles right now is getting set to push in. So a couple of looks outside here before we lose the daylight and our cameras become a little less effective to show you what's going on. Seeing a pretty good picture on our NWS chat from a wall cloud about an hour or so ago that was over Trumbull County with part of that tornado warning that was in effect. Pretty good looking wall cloud from 634. It was on Route 11 near the airport in Trumbull County. Good looking wall cloud. But that was from the storm about an hour ago that eventually prompted the tornado warning over in Trumbull and Mercer. All right, so we're getting some rain, we're getting some rumbles in Mahoning County. Starting to hear the pitter-patter of raindrops up on the roof here at WFMJ. With some heavy rainfall rates, especially from Youngstown up towards the north side, up towards YSU, up towards Briar Hill, going up 193, and heading up towards Hubbard along 62. Getting some decent rainfall rates. It's raining cats and dogs once you get over towards Mill Creek Park and heading over towards the Route 46 corridor from Canfield to Austintown and over towards the western part of Mahoning County as well. But all of this looks sub-severe. It's noisy, it's raining hard, but the threat for a tornado or even real strong winds does not appear to be all that high, that threat right now. So with that being said, I think here as we go towards 7:35, I'm going to stop the live stream, at least temporarily. I'm going to hop back on this evening as the weather warrants, as things maybe get a little more active. But right now we don't have any severe weather across our viewing area, and we don't have a lot of threats, I think, immediately upstream. The really nasty weather is in northwest Ohio right now. A lot of lightning and hail reports up here in the northwestern corner of the state. All right, so I'm going to stop the live stream. Thanks, as always, to everyone who's been watching. I will join you once again wherever you're watching this, on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever you're watching it. I'll resume streaming coverage as conditions warrant this evening. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.